Oh, hey. Okay. Well, welcome to the Script Supervisor Power Hour, everybody. I'm so excited. This is like a super live edition. Hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for confirming that. Um, I'm on StreamYard, which is sending this. This is the first time I'm going live to Instagram. I'm on a vertical shorts live on YouTube. It's my first one ever, and Facebook and LinkedIn. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. If you don't know who the hell I am Daniela Saioni. I'm a script supervisor and a script supervision coach, among many other things. I am based in Toronto, Canada, and I have students in 28 countries at the moment who are living out their script supervision and directing and screenwriting dreams. I have every single week since June of 2020, when I began teaching that program online, the Director Whisperer training program, which is my training program for script supervisors in their first 10 years internationally. I've been going live every single week inside our Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group for the class. Occasionally, like once every 3 months, I want to say, I will go live on Instagram or Facebook. But this is the first time I'm going live on multi-platform, and so far it seems to be working. But obviously, let me know in the comments if you have questions or concerns. It's just, hey, Mo, oh my God, hey, Mohina. Okay, so we have students and non-students here. I have a whole list of questions that people sent me in advance. But as always, I'm so happy to take questions on the fly. I'm pretty famous for TMI, for too much information when I go live with my students. So I got to be a little bit more careful when I'm on this public event. We're going to keep the live, at least on the YouTube channel. Oh, yay. Okay. Well, we're going to shout out hallelujahs every single week. We shout out our hallelujahs, which are like our wins, basically our wins. Hello, Rustam. I don't know who that is, but hi, Rustam. I think, okay, let's start. So, my first experience with Vertical Live, they tell me that we're going to get people who are just going to jump on who are not script supervisors. They might not even know what we do. So that's fun. I'm going to save the hallelujahs kind of towards the end of the hour, all the announcements of all the wonderful work people are getting, because I want to start with actually a pretty serious topic. We had our wonderful meetup. We have meetups in all different cities where my students are sort of multiple times a year. And last week we got together in Toronto, and it was bittersweet. It was really, really wonderful. We cried a lot. There were a lot of people going through a lot of stuff right now. And part of that, oh, Rustam in Turkey, welcome. I don't have any students in Turkey. So, but I do. I have a story editor student in Turkey. That's right. But he moved here. He lives here now. And he goes back and forth. Welcome, Turkey. So I got to talking to a lot of people, and we're in a very strange time in the industry where we're supposed to be on this massive upswing. So let me just backtrack and say something that the new generation is maybe not as aware of. So I've been doing scripts since 1991. So that's many, many decades. That's over 3 decades. So I've seen a lot, right? And when I came into the industry, when I graduated film school in 1991, we were in this deep recession that lasted until 1994. So my first introduction to the industry is kind of what people are going through sort of post-COVID. No, I'm a Daniela, but thank you for asking. How do I look like a Karen? I'm like, so anyway, Stephen, we were told that, we were going to get people asking stuff like that. Anywho, so 1991, I graduated into a recession in the film business, which lasted 3 years. Okay. And things really started to pick up in 94. And this the new generation of script supervisors and everyone else in the film business is facing something similar to that. Ever since then, there have been like fluctuations in the industry, right? Like ups and downs that have become normal to those of us who've done the multi-decade thing. But there's a lot of work anxiety amongst people who started, I want to say 2018 and after, because you guys are in your formative years of your career. And suddenly there's a pandemic, there's work slowdown, there's a strike. Listen, I've been through a few strikes and other sort of pandemics. I think what you're asking, Kevin, Sagmir verbis tu. I think you're asking me where I am. I am in Toronto, Canada. I'm just guessing because I don't know. It sounds German or Swedish or something. So yeah, in Toronto, Canada, I graduated into a recession. In Toronto, we're seeing an upsurge, an uptick finally in the union work, but the indie industry is still up and down. And my students around the world are telling me different things in terms of how busy they are. And some people are in really busy places, but they themselves are not back to work yet. So I wanted to start off the Script Supervisor Power Hour this time just by addressing the fact that there's work anxiety. And I know I did a video on my YouTube channel called Don't Panic, and I did it like a year and a half ago, anticipating that there was going to be a work panic regarding the strike, right? Because we all knew kind of that was coming. And we anticipated that right after the strike was over, because this happens after every strike, there's going to be an overwhelming amount of work. And we're not seeing it come back to full numbers like that yet. Not for everybody. Some people are sending me the most incredible hallelujahs, what I call like great news about going back to work. People at my level are turning down jobs. I've been turning down jobs since I got home because I did 5 months in Europe this year. I worked for most of those months on A Simple Favor 2 in Rome. Incidentally, most of the work right now is in Europe and the UK especially. The UK, London and Budapest, I want to say, are extremely busy centers. Bollywood will always be busy, and Nollywood as well. But, we're seeing upticks in Atlanta, in Toronto, in a little bit in New York, but not as many upticks in other places. I have many super trans friends. I'm not trans. I take that as a compliment. I transcend all genders. I have many trans friends and partners too. So, hey, I'll take that as a compliment. The one and only Nicole. I also have many trans students, by the way. Oh, thank you. You think what about Shtick to Script is hilarious? Oh, the title of my channel? Thank you. You know what's weird? My channel deals with script supervision and screenwriting. So I had to think of something that sort of merits. So it's like Stick to the Script or Shtick to Script. True story. I have a course called From Shtick to Script. I used to do stand-up comedy, and my stand-up comedy career sort of led me to become a comedy screenwriter. It led me to formulate thanks, the name of my course, From Shtick to Script, because I originally was trying to teach stand-up comics how to use what they learned from doing stand-up and apply it to writing TV pilots. So From Shtick to Script was like this course I created in 2012 that is still one of my most popular and effective courses. I'll sometimes do lives about that too. My last live, which was not a vertical live, was a regular live on YouTube, is still up, and it talks about how to avoid endless rewrites. But today we are talking about script supervision, which is something I've been teaching since 1995, much longer, and something I've been in for over 3 decades. You'll find I interrupt myself and come back to topic, but the topic right now is the work anxiety that some people are facing. And I just want to keep reassuring everybody that it will be back. The film industry never dies because people need entertainment. Okay, so it dies, yes, and then it comes back to life. We see this has admittedly been a very long dip in a lot of places in the world. It's about as long a dip as the longest dip I experienced, besides the first 3 years of my career. Okay, I was brand new, entering into a recession. I wasn't going to be first in line for the jobs that came back during the recession. But in 2003, I was really well established as a script supervisor. I had already done my Big Fat Greek Wedding. I had already done some big movies, and there was a sudden work stoppage in Toronto, where I live, because of SARS. So SARS was affecting different cities in the world, but Toronto had a high incidence of SARS, so they shut down production for almost 2 years. So I did something that I advise all my students to do. I want you guys to think of script supervision as a global profession, because it really is, right? There's a video on my YouTube channel called Script Supervision Without Borders. I know. Also tongue in cheek. We're not doctors. We're not saving lives. Well, we are in different ways. But Script Supervision Without Borders talks about how, and that's a totally free video you can access on YouTube. Just talks about how we can think of it as a global marketplace and go to where the work is if we're able to. I know not everybody is able to because they have like kids or encumbrances that don't let them travel. But if you can't travel to another country to work, you could think about, other parts of your province or state, other provinces or states. And that's how a lot of us survived those 2 years of SARS. And yes, a lot of people did retire out of the industry. I think we're facing that right now where a lot of people who are close to retirement age or they're young, but just like really fed up because they've never had to deal with like a sudden work stoppage for like a year and a half to 2 years for some people. So they're retiring out, right? So they're retiring out of the industry, leaving more room for the new people. That's like an upside for it, of it. But it's also sad to lose all that brain power, right? We've got all these veterans kind of retiring, but these are normal cycles in the film industry, believe it or not, even though this feels really abnormal. I know in the media and like factually, a lot of the streaming services are cutting back and cutting back. Listen, when we had the work stoppage in 2003 for 2 years, we didn't even have the level of streaming services. So we have all this additional work in the industry that has since been clawed back. We even had a bigger script department in IATSE in the local, where I live in Toronto, than we do now, like a much bigger one. And yeah, so I would say the SARS crisis in Toronto specifically is a comparable thing. And I'll tell you guys how I survived that if it inspires you to figure out a plan. Although I want to say that like when you hear all the hallelujahs today at the end of the broadcast, you're going to see that a lot of people are actually getting really big breaks very early in their careers. I'm lucky to have the context of, my students being in 28 countries. I have a much bigger context of what's going on in multiple places and multiple cities at the same time, because I could just simply ask who's working, who's not, who's been interviewing, and who hasn't. I just want to check that I'm not getting any comments on Instagram, so I just want to make sure. Oh, I'm just gonna. Sorry about that. Yeah, I wonder if I can see, hopefully if you're on Instagram and you're making comments, like I'm not seeing them. So we'll check on that in a sec. I want to finish this thought before I go on to check the Instagram feed. But if you are in Instagram, oh, someone is sending me a question in my private messages. Interesting. Okay. I don't know if they know I'm live. Sometimes that happens. People think I'm not live, or they think I am and that I can multitask, but so we'll check Instagram in a sec. If you're watching on Instagram, I'm sorry if I haven't seen your questions and comments. They're not showing up in my StreamYard feed. All right. So how I survived that 2-year dip in work in Toronto for me was I took a job. I did 2 jobs. So I did 2 jobs totaling less than 3 months each. So 1 job a year, less than 3 months each. Yeah. So it was like the low money year. We always talk about having the side hustles and the backup plans and everything in the film business. And I survived those 2 years by doing temp gigs at the Attorney General, which is our law office, in Toronto. It was fun. It wasn't the film business, but it was fun. It was a good way. It was good to know that I was doing this like really intense sort of legal secretarial work, which by the way, I wasn't trained in or hadn't done. And somehow every lawyer was like, let's get Daniela on it. But just knowing that I could go back to the film business, which I did. So in those years, I took 1 job in Montreal, which was amazing because how I got that job was I got a random phone call. Someone who is now my one of my mentors in life. She's directed 11 features. Hardly anyone knows her. Her name's Joan Carwigan. She's directed 11 features. She called me in Montreal and said, I read that you were the script supervisor on My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and I'm doing a film called My First Wedding in Montreal, and it's the same genre. Can you just get on a train and come work with us? I was on that train so fast. It was phenomenal. I had a week of prep, of course, but like it was phenomenal. And then we all went to Malta together. Now and did her next film, which was called A Previous Engagement. That's how I ended up by fluke working in that very sort of hard time in the industry. So you're going to find, and we're finding that with my students too, that things are coming up randomly and suddenly. And what you guys are going to find is it's going to accelerate as the film industry returns, because it has to. In the Depression, right? It was the biggest industry. People needed a distraction from all the chaos. I see a question in the YouTube viewers. Vermont Moo Cow. Oh, Vermont Moo Cow. Just doing low budget projects still. Okay, cool. And are you in Vermont? Just doing low budget projects still. I've been trying to get work since May 2023, the week the strike started. Oh my God, my heart goes out to you. Unfortunately, I've done one short and 2 TV pilots that are all in festivals. That's not the unfortunate part. That's the good part. Thank you. Currently temping, but getting discouraged. Yes, please hang in there. I want to tell everybody, like, you never know what's coming out the other side. I often tell this story. I do different talks, and one of the talks I did was about set bullies. And I was bullied by a director. I won't say the country we shot in. We were filming in a foreign country. And in 1997, oh, and you're in Miami. Okay, great. Are you my student? I have a bunch of students in Miami. I don't know if you're one of mine because you got a code name on there. But I know Miami slowed down a bit, but I know it's still there's still work. So I always tell my Florida students, keep checking out Atlanta. Atlanta's still very busy at all times, and it always will be. I'm by the way, I am coming to Atlanta for a meetup. I may also be coming there for a job where we're going to wait and see if, if they're going to, every time I've gotten a US work permit, it has gone through, but sometimes the studio, oh, you took my writing challenge. Oh, it's Ren. Hi, Ren. I assume it's Ren, right? But anyway, hi. Yes. So yeah, don't get discouraged, Ren. You're such a positive person, assuming it's you. As my mother would say, I know my chickens. That's what she says, literally. I know my chickens. I love that phrase. I'm Italian, if you guys have not noticed by my name or my face. Yes, Atlanta is always going to be busy if you're in Miami. And I know, Ren, you travel anyway because you're a stunt person. So of course you're going to travel. So yeah, definitely if you're out there going, oh, it's brutal. I have to temp and I have all these film skills and etc. I temped for 2 years in the middle of my career when I was actually on a high rolling part of my career. I mean, it got better again, but I could have left at that point, and then I never would have gotten to experience like the rest of the countries in the world I got to work in, and the rest of the bigger and bigger, and Suits, because I didn't do Suits until 2011. Hang in there. So everybody hang in there. You don't know what's around the corner. It's kind of like an instant lesson for the people who didn't, when I came into the industry, the elders, now I guess I'm the elder, but the elders were telling us like, everything's in waves. It's not a permanent full-time job. And guess what? Nothing is in the world. Unfortunately, the world is such that even people who had like a job that seemed like it would go on forever, they all got laid off years ago. So it's like nothing is ever a guaranteed thing, a sure thing. So if you're going, oh, I should have taken like that safe job, there's no such thing as a safe job unless you're like at high levels of government. Phoenix Girl, any suggestions for building networks in other cities? I'm in a non-industry city and struggle to even find semi-regular ops. Yes, Phoenix Girl. Does that mean you're in Phoenix, Arizona? Well, if you're in my program, we have an instant network. We have over 500 script supervisors in 28 countries in the class. So we network with each other. So I've had students, interact with each other like across countries. Rosvita, one of my students in LA, she was legal to work in the UK. So during the pandemic, she went to work in London and then in Ireland where she was legal. She's also legal to work in Europe. we don't always have the luxury of multiple passports, but certainly my American students, I have a lot of American students in smaller centers. I have a student named Raymond in Oklahoma City who works, it's a very small center. Oh, you're Alyssa. So listen, you started my course. Okay, Alyssa, please, please. Oh, it's Alyssa. Wait, which one? I have multiple Alyssas. I have Alicia in LA and a different Alyssa. You don't have to say your last name. Uh, but what city are you in? Can you tell me that? Because anyway, it doesn't matter what city you're in, but you can tell me if you want to. Just make sure you jump in and network with people, because that's what people are doing. So I don't know what the closest city to you is for oh, you are in Phoenix. Okay, so your moniker actually literally uh okay, it sounds familiar to me. You know what? So now when people join the program, I do an intro Zoom with them so I can put a face to the name. Alyssa, let's do an extra Zoom. I know you joined when it was like that wasn't part of the program, but let's do an extra Zoom when you finish the program, and I get your certification. We'll do like a Zoom because I want to put your face to the name. So I'm not, because I tend to really know everybody. But what happens in the Director Whisperer program is that there's some people who are really social and some people who have never been to the group, like to the Facebook group where I go live every week and people connect with each other. The closest I got to Phoenix, I want to say, is LA. I was in LA last year. I am, to answer Mohina's question earlier, I am going to Vancouver. I haven't set dates yet, but I'm looking at spring 2025 to be back in Vancouver. I I don't really have enough people in Phoenix, but I am going to Atlanta. I've been to Chicago. Anyway, if we have an in-person meetup that you can make, definitely Alyssa, come out. But yeah, I know that Moeen is so excited. I mean, God, we have what, 40 director whisperers in BC. If I don't come see you guys, like I'm the worst, right? We have about that many in Atlanta. So Alyssa, there's hardly enough work. Oh, but you know what? How far is Nevada from you? This is how bad my US geography is. LA is a 6-hour drive. Okay, got it. Okay, right. Okay, cool. But like, how far is Las Vegas? Because they're building a major studio there. So Fox is shifting, like they're building a major studio there. I've been keeping up on all the news about like studio builds. I know they're building in New York State, in New Jersey, New York. They're building a lot more in Toronto as well. So we can compete with Vancouver, Mohina, because you guys get all the studio work. They're building more in London, and they're building one in okay, so you're right in the middle. Wow. I know that for some reason, like, uh, connect with Raymond. I want you to connect with Raymond in the class, okay? He's constantly working both as a script supervisor and oh, amazing. Okay, so Phoenix girl, Alyssa, that is great news. So hang in there, is just hang in there. But to also connect with Raymond because he lives in Oklahoma City. I bet you have more production than him. And he somehow manages to like have just enough work to get by. Now, mind you, Raymond is also one of my story editing students. So he also story edits. So he story edits and does script, and he goes back and forth from both. I'm going to be interviewing Raymond and a whole bunch of other people about story editing on the 17th, I want to say, of September. I don't know. We're just sorting it out now, but he can talk about that life. But yeah, we always need multiple hustles. It's not really a hustle. We need multiple ways to make a living. Okay, let me, before I go on to the next topic, see if people on Instagram are asking questions, and I'm like totally not. See, I have multiple Instagram accounts and it's logged me into the wrong one. That's what's happening. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So let me see. But I am live in the right one. Oh, maybe not. No, the live stream doesn't appear to be. Okay. Well, now I know why we're not getting comments on Instagram. I'll post an edited version of this live on Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. Hopefully you've wandered over to YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn to watch the live. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I think I accidentally turned it off when I was checking it before. Okay, so the next question we got, so work anxiety. So basically, stay strong, everybody. There are going to be people who drop out and say, F this is not the life I want. I need more certainty. I don't know where you're going to find the certainty, to be honest. And like, that's not the reason we got into the film business. Oh, you sent a message over Insta Live. Am I still on in Insta Live, Alyssa? Somebody sent me a message, and maybe that was you. Okay, let us see. No, someone else sent me a really long message from Northern Ontario. That wasn't you. That wasn't you. Someone named Lisa sent me a message from Northern Ontario. Lisa, if you're watching, I'm not going to read this out loud. Oh yeah, okay. No, Lisa has no idea. But okay, so apparently I'm still broadcasting on Instagram, but it's not playing on my phone. I'm not seeing. Oh, okay. Thank you, Andrea. Andrea, private. Thank you, Andrea. Oh my God, Andrea, who is in Atlanta, and Andrea and I share a credit. We both got to script supervise together on the Big Cigar. Andrea confirmed that people can see me on Instagram, even though for some reason I cannot see myself on Instagram. But for the IG people, I can't see your comments. So if you're asking questions on Instagram, I'm so sorry that I can't see your comments for some reason. This is my first time doing this multi-platform thing. I will make it up to you, but you could also jump over to YouTube or Facebook if you have questions, or just keep watching on the Insta Live. I'm so sorry about that. I can't seem to get it to even show my live on Instagram. So I'm glad that, and she says that there's about 8 people watching there. Okay, phenomenal. Thank you, Andrea. The next question we got this week in class was from Sophie in Toronto. She says, I'm on a short right now with quite a few intimate scenarios, closed sets. I'm wondering how I should go about taking continuity stills. Do you still take them if there's nudity or implied nudity? I haven't actually encountered this yet on set, and there's quite a lot of nudity and implied nudity. My favorite kinds of shows. Just kidding. Well, sometimes they are actually. I work on a lot of very cool kind of indie things sometimes. Well, bigger budget indie, because let's face it, I'm expensive. Intimacy coordination. We have a whole bunch of, well, we have about 5 intimacy coordinators in the program, the most experienced one being Allison Bibikoff. And last year, Allison did a talk for the script supervisors on how her department interacts with our department. Allison is also a script supervisor in Los Angeles, very, very accomplished choreographer, dancer. So last I checked, Allison hadn't answered the question fully, but she has answered it like through her seminar. But I'll answer it from my perspective. First of all, I never, ever, ever take pictures of nudity, even if I'm begged to. It's not cool. Like, mostly the actors are pressured into like saying, yeah, you can take pictures of me nude, or they just don't want us to. There's no need. Listen, I'm an old lady. I come from a time when we had Polaroids, okay? When we had no monitor, we had Polaroid cameras, and sometimes we ran out of Polaroid film and we still had to know the continuity. That is how old I am. So I used to draw things. I used to observe things and look through the camera. It's basically like doing our job before technology, in the sense that we don't need screen grabs of nudity. We don't need screen grabs of sexuality. What we do need to do is communicate clearly with the director that because it's a closed set environment and there's nudity, and communicate clearly with the intimacy coordinator. Hopefully the show has one. Most shows are, the shows are all required to, if they're SAG or ACTRA or union shows. But please have a conversation in advance. Have a strategy with the intimacy coordinator and the director. Decide with the actors, with the actors' consent, who is going to be allowed to watch the monitor if monitors are on, or who's going to be allowed to be in the room. I want to say that 8 times out of 10, actors are okay with me and the director being the only ones on a very specific monitor, and the intimacy coordinator that is on. No one else has eyes. On the camera person is in the room with the actors, and the boom operator's in the room with the actors, but most other crew are gone. It's a closed set for a reason, right? But there are times when actors say, I want no monitors and I want nobody except the director in the room, the director, camera operator, sound person. And, I want to say 20% of the time, I'm literally working blind. I can hear the dialogue on my headsets, and that's about it. So when that happens, you need to just make clear to the director and or intimacy coordinator that somebody is going to be in charge of continuity at that moment, and it's not me. And the director might say, I'll just fix it in post. Haha, we all know how that goes. But anyway, or the intimacy coordinator. Thankfully, we have Allison Bibikoff because she understands script supervision and intimacy coordination. We have a few other people. I think, Andrea, you do that too, right? And Faye does that in New York. There's a few people who do that. But because and it's funny because Faye and Allison, both dancer choreographers. Faye's also a stunt person. But yeah, it's as long as somebody knows to watch the major cutting points, as a number of people responded to Sophie in our class group, you can go in and take pictures of the set in advance, know that things are going to move. And if you're not watching it, you won't be able to see where they move. But it is what it is, meaning don't take nude stills of people. That's really not cool in a lot of ways. As the people in my program know, I'm always on about how performance. Do you notice actors who get desperate and decide to start doing nude scenes? Erwin, I take it that you're someone who is not in the business. I am a union actor, and I've been in the business for 33 years. I take it that you're someone who has no idea about the film business when you're asking a question like that. Ada, wait, you're not allowed on a closed set in the US or Canada? No. Usually we are, but it's up to the discretion of the actors and the director. The actors and the director are the ones who decide, together collectively with the intimacy coordinator. So you have a little meeting before you're shooting the scene that's on a closed set. And Erwin admits he has no idea about the industry. So yeah, to answer your question, Erwin, if that was a serious question, decide to start doing nude scenes. I don't even know actually what the question is. That do I ever notice actors as an actor? I'm never desperate. I don't know a lot of actors who are desperate. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. We have a craft and an art form, and this isn't like YouTube lives fun because we get like these. Sorry, Erwin, I'm going to call you a Yahoo. We get these Yahoos who are not really in the business. But anyway, welcome, Yahoo. Actors are people too, man. Actors are doing a craft. They're artists. I think script supervisors are artists in some ways too, but we're there to serve. That's what I was trying to say earlier before I interrupted myself with 5 different tangents. Actors, the reason we're all there is because the actors are trying to get, everything can fail in a movie, everything, the lighting, the sound, the continuity, the acting has, if the acting isn't affecting anybody in the audience, you don't have a movie. And most directors know that. And most crew members know that. Anyone working on the biggest projects and even the smallest projects who love cinema know that it's all about the performance, right? So we're there to serve that. So starting to take pictures of actors in different states of nudity without their consent. And I don't even think you should ask, because you don't want to force them to say, oh, it's okay. You never want to be that person. You're breaking trust with someone that you need to have absolute trust. Erwin says, example though. Okay, cool. Jen Lawrence did a full frontal in a low budget film since she hasn't done a film in a while. And I think it's because she's trying to revamp her career. Whatever her reasons are, she probably, as we all do as actors, did it, even if that's the reason she took the role, which by the way, I doubt, because we never choose scripts like that, I think. Josh said, even if that was why she took the film, when we're actually in the act of creating the character and the moment, that's got to be real. And if it's, that's got to be real and from your heart. So I haven't seen the Jennifer Lawrence film you're talking about. But in the past, there used to be a lot of horrible pressure put on actors, which has since been helped out by the advent of the intimacy coordinator role. Josh says, really enjoying the multi-platform session. I would definitely pull in some friends to watch the next one. Well, the live will stay on. Thank you though. This is awesome. Oh, time check, man. Josh knows I can yap. Josh is so awesome because he comes to every single live, and he's already graduated and is a working script supervisor. Well, as we know, Josh, it's sort of ishy right now in Toronto. Ren says, Erwin, take your caps off. It sounds like you're yelling. It really does. Like, but I mean, I think you know that, Erwin, right? It's funny. My mom, who's 82 years old, doesn't know that when you're in all caps, you're yelling. But Erwin, I'm guessing you're not 82 years old. Maybe you are. I don't know. Sorry if I'm making assumptions. Okay. Anonymous. Oh, yes, we have an anonymous question from somewhere in North America. Okay. I'm currently on a vertical shoot. A vertical shoot, by the way, is like this, like the vertical live that people are watching me on. I'm currently on a vertical shoot where the director doesn't give a damn about continuity. Why not? Her choice at the end of the day. I see her point, says the script supervisor. What's bugging me, to be polite, is more the way she's treating me as a person, either ignoring me or being dismissive, which sucks, guys. Don't ever treat your script supervisor that way. To the point that I'm wondering why she sorry, I'm laughing. Vermont, notice people have trouble reading comments. Well, I don't have trouble reading comments. Am I expressing, am I giving off vibes of having trouble reading comments? We'll do exclamation when yelling. Oh my God. Okay, Erwin. Okay, to the point where I'm wondering why she contacted me to come to her show in the first place. Listen, anonymous person. We've all been there. Okay. Unfortunately, there's always going to be that one director. You know very well that I train you guys to source this out in prep, in the interview. I know that this is a very particular time in history. I normally tell people who are dealing with directors who disrespect us, and who, it's okay for a director to say, I have no interest in the actual continuity matching, but there's way more to our job than that. I have a sense that that director doesn't know what the full breadth of our job is. And so, listen, someone just posted the Ethan Hawke. You know how Ethan Hawke hates script supervisors, so he didn't hire one when he was, which is rare, which is actually bizarre to me because he did a film up here in Canada, and my friend was a script supervisor. She was inside the room with them for every single, and she's a darling. She's like a wonderful human being, and his performance was stellar in it. So obviously, like nothing interfered with that. So I don't understand when actors slash or directors have this hate on for script supervisors. I feel like they had a bad experience with someone who was maybe not, if you see, I've got so many talks on working with actors, and there's one, if you're an actor and you're wondering about how to like incorporate the reality of the craft of continuity amongst all the other things that you have to think about to give your best performance. I want the actors in the audience to know, and the directors to know, that we are script supervisors. We are there to serve you. We are there because we're trying to make your life easier, the director's life easier in post. Just often we're literally just there for that. We're just having their backs, and same with the actors. We want you guys to win, because if the actors win, if the actors have freedom to be the best that they can be, to give their best performance of their life, that makes us all look incredible. Erwin says, has the onslaught of streaming films damaged the cinematic experience? No, there's some really cinematic streaming films. What are you talking about, dude? I mean, it has in some ways. Okay, actually, Erwin, I'm assuming your gender too. Hopefully, that wasn't Erwin. Whatever gender you are, some streaming things are amazing. Have you watched, like, I don't know, like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? There's that's such a cinematic TV show, especially once you get to season 4. But like, has it? No, it hasn't damaged the experience. It has changed the way we work on set, because we work really fast now because of digital. That's a question of digital versus film, because when we used to shoot on film, we'd do more rehearsals, we'd cut more, we'd reset things. With digital, and so that's not really the streamer's fault. What it has done is it's created that whole war of wages and all of that. But no, I wouldn't say it has damaged the cinematic experience. I think a lot of creatively good things have come out of streamers, right? Especially in television. I mean, television and cinema. Oh, I see what you mean. Like, what are people not going to see things on a big screen? Yeah, you're right about that part of it. I think, yeah, like I love seeing things on a big screen. And sometimes literally the only person in the theater now, which is shocking, right? Because when we were younger, it was a lot of that. Josh says, I've had to tell directors I'm not interested in directing before I felt their walls come down a little, making me think maybe there was a few script supervisors that were serving themselves. Yes, yes, yes. I see what you're saying, Erwin. Less people are going to the cinema. That is a very real problem. So you mean the cinematic viewing experience? Yes, bingo. Yes. No, you're right. That it has. So we have to do something to counteract that. Like, listen, I just worked on a movie. Well, I don't know if I can say it, which one, but I just worked on a movie where the director was told it's going to premiere on a streaming service, and that he can't show it at festivals and show it on a big screen in the cinema. Hopefully that can change by the time it gets released, because it's an extremely, like, the way that he directed it is, I think, the most cinematic thing he's ever done, and he's a pretty cinematic director for his genre. Um, and like, I think it'll hurt his heart and a lot of people's hearts to not be able to see it on a big screen. And the streamers are the ones with the money in this case, so they're calling the shots. So it's a very, I feel you on that, Erwin. I feel you on that. Sorry, I want to make sure I almost said their name, the anonymous person's question, because it's a big one we all face. We all face this in script supervision. Yes, Josh, you're right. There's like a resume workshop in my program, and I always tell people, do the resume workshop and then come to me with your resume, because we literally have to, you're all men. I'm Gen X. I'm Gen X. You're all okay. Okay, Erwin. General announcement. Erwin is all man. Okay, whatever that means. Okay. Josh, if you watch the video of my meetup in Toronto, you'll see Josh there. He's one of the very. My mother saw that video and said, your students, they are all very nice looking. Yes, Josh, I just wanted to commend that shot I took of you and Juan. It was very, very good advertising for my program, as I told Juan. Anyway, sorry. Mohina, that's my next step, the resume workshop. Okay, so in the yeah, she said that. I swear to God, it was so funny. And I did say that to Juan. Sorry to embarrass you publicly now on multi platforms, but hey, it's just what I do. It's TMI, right? It's always TMI when I get to ramble at my camera in my on my laptop. But no, definitely, like, everybody in that video, super, 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 super beautiful. Just maybe it's because I know, like, the beauty of my students. You guys are the best. Okay, so the resume workshop, the reason I brought that up, Mohina, is because the person who's asking me this, we don't know if it's because the director is worried that the script supervisor wants to direct and take their job. That is a very real thing that happens sometimes, because script supervision, for those who don't know, is the most promoted job to director nowadays. In the past 10 years, that's really changed in the industry in the past 10 years or so, 10 to 15 years now, maybe, where, a script supervision is the most promoted position. So when a director, and this is the flip side of that, is a lot of directors are also promoted from other mediums like commercials, music videos, documentary, right? And so they may not necessarily have the kind of visual storytelling training that you guys have as script supervisors, and that can be super intimidating. Like, I've seen people actually get scared because not scared, but uneasy. Let's put it that way, uneasy, because they didn't understand eye lines or axis, and their script supervisor did. Their DOP may or may not. Like, usually the DOP does, but sometimes they don't. So yeah, so it can be intimidating, right? So I love that, Josh, that you can, like, just clearly state that you don't want to be a director. And even if you do want to be a director, just lie about it. Sometimes you got to lie about it. Meaning, sometimes I ask people to have separate resumes, one that lists their directing credits or their producing credits or their writing credits, because those can intimidate people too. And one that does not, because you're going to, and you never know who you're going to be interviewing with. So you kind of, to be safe, just put your script supervision credits or your other film credits that are crewy and not, creative. I think it's okay to put your acting credits on if you have a crew resume that has acting experience on, because that informs all of our work on the crew. But I think Josh is correct. For some directors, and listen, it's certainly not the A-list directors. Okay, I've worked with everyone from brand new directors to A-list directors. A-list directors are the most collaborative. They're the most, they're the least intimidated. Why would they be intimidated by like a crew member, right? They understand that everyone is there to serve them. How do you deal with directors or producers that want line changes? Well, they're the boss. So Erwin, line changes, it's when, like, actors will sometimes change their lines without asking. That's a problem because the actors actually, unless they're a producer on the show, like on Suits, the Mike and Harvey characters were also producers on the show. So they could change their lines, but they also were professional enough to know that they're not just going to change their lines willy-nilly. They're going to talk to the writers, because there's a whole process to television specifically where the writers have written like 5 episodes ahead of us, right? So we don't know on set like what's going to happen in 5 episodes. The cast might not even know because they want to surprise the cast. Oh yeah, Harvey and Donna are going to make out in 5 episodes. So what they say now Josh is like, I'm loving Erwin. I'm only 11 months in from the first time ever on set, so I may still hold many of the same. Yes, Erwin, and as much as I've been mocking you a little bit, I also love that you're so participating. So thank you for being here. But yeah, so it's when a producer wants the line change in television, the producers are the writers are the producers. So they're the ones that are supposed to tell us if they want line changes, and we have to listen to them because the producers are the boss of us. Now, they're also the boss of us in movies, but directors have way more power in movies. So in many movie contracts, directors actually have it in their contract that they're allowed to change the lines, and it really depends on the contract that the director has and how new they are. But we're not the boss of them. They are the boss of us. So we do what they say. And it's not a problem for us. If something doesn't make sense on a logical level, of course, we're going to say it because that's our job as script supervisors, to maintain the integrity of the logic and to help it edit in, when it gets to post-production. That's all under our job. But we're not going to refuse. We're not going to say, oh, no, you can't do that, because we're not the boss. Producer's the boss in television. Erwin says, mock all. Okay, I'm trying to do it in like all because you're screaming. Mock all you want. I worked in bars for 6 years. Pretty sure I can take it. You know who I worked with who worked in bars for 6 years? Do you remember Troy Duffy? Troy Duffy directed a movie called The Boondock Saints 1, 2, and 3, and I worked on the original Boondock Saints. Was Troy when Troy was full on bartender Troy, and it was amazing. I had so much fun on that movie. But yeah, I'll tell you a real, let me interrupt this broadcast to give you a real Troy Duffy story because he's amazing. I went in for the interview and he said, what'd you think of my movie? Because he wrote the script, right? And I said, and I didn't even know if it was a comedy. I said, I loved it. It's freaking hilarious. And he said, you got the job. Everyone else was fucking, what did he say? Offended. Everyone else was fucking offended by my script. You got the job. And then I said, great. And then we started talking, about his filming, because it was his first feature. He was a musician and a bartender. So this could be you, or I don't know if you're a musician as well. He was a rock musician. If you watch Overnight, which is a documentary about the making of Boondocks, I'm in it. You'll never recognize me. I was like a lot heavier and a lot younger. I'm in it for like 2 seconds, but they really try to make Troy to look insane. He was not. He was a really good director. He was just a burly Boston bartender working in LA, making a movie deal. Anyway, he was great. That was a true story about my interview with Troy Duffy. But yeah, we got to talking some more. And I said, Troy, what's your philosophy on the axis of action? And he looked at me What do you think Troy said? Fuck Access. Oh my God. You know what? I have to bleep that out in the repeat. Otherwise, YouTube is not going to let me like have that on my channel. But that's literally what he said to me. I'm like, okay, all right, Troy, that's what we're going to do. You see, even when directors, beyond changing lines, they want to cross the axis. If you're not sure what that means, it's when they want to use an eye line that's not going to cut together very smoothly because it's not going to look like the people are looking at each other. And he said, we don't care about that on this movie, which if you watch the movie, I mean, he kind of still respected it, but we did cross it a bunch of times as well. Anywho, anonymous person dealing with that disrespectful, mean director on that vertical shoot. It's not you, it's them. And I know that's a small consolation, but the other consolation is that the movie will soon be over. The movie will soon be over. Is it okay if we go a little bit over the hour? I still have like a whole bunch of hallelujahs. And some more questions. So maybe we'll go like 10 minutes over. So sorry about this. And I'm sorry for the Instagram people that I can't see your comments coming up on my feed and on my phone, it doesn't even say I'm live. We got to fix that. I think that's StreamYard's fault, frankly. Okay, next question. Bjorn in Berlin, who's not in my class, but he's my friend on Instagram. And Bjorn was very nice to say, he's very nice to reach out and we share information. I do have another student in Berlin named Sandra, and Bjorn also works with some of my students in Budapest. Anyway, Bjorn is out and about in the world. This summer when I was shooting in Italy, he was working on a movie in Portugal, and we got to commiserate about how it's much too hot to be making movies right now. He wrote to me and said, I'm currently using a MacBook Pro with a built-in fan, but thinking about a MacBook Air next with no fan, and I wonder whether others have had bad experiences with Air in the summer heat. I've never had, well, certainly I have the new Air. I have one of the ones it was from 2 years ago. No fan, and I've shot in the heat. It was I was melting in the heat in Italy, but my MacBook Air was not. It was in a really happy place. So, and now mind you, it only got up to 33 because it was still like May. But then we had Lexi in Queensland, one of my students in Australia, respond, and Hope in Louisiana responded, and they both gave the thumbs up on the MacBook Air. They said heat was not an issue, and they both tested up to 36 degrees. That's Celsius for the Americans watching. So Nahika in Atlanta then jumped in on that thread and recommended an external fan that saved her computer in the Georgia heat. It's just an RYOB Roybe 118V cordless fan, and it doesn't make noise. That was on set. We need stuff, for those who've never been on set yet, we need stuff that doesn't make noise. So there we go. Okay, we have a long list of hallelujahs. We have a long list of people who are going through some really good stuff right now. So for those who are not quite back to work yet and you're feeling in despair, take these as inspiration. Some of these are completed films that are premiering. I know there's a whole bunch of people that didn't even weigh in. I asked for hallelujahs a few hours ago inside the class group to see who I could shout out. And listen, a bunch of people are on set. A bunch of people are they don't even check into our class group. Number one, Patrick Aubert. Patrick in Montreal, one of my favorites. I've met him at was it two of our meetups in New York City and one in Montreal. I love Patrick. He said, dear fellow script supervisors, Red Rooms, a feature film that I worked on, will be released in the US this Friday, September 6th. It was an incredible experience with a very talented and passionate filmmaker, Pascal Plante. We worked so hard. We speak a little French in Canada, but Patrick speaks a lot more than I do. We worked so hard on that film. I saw the movie 3 times on the big screen, and it's amazing. There you go, Erwin. There's one for you. It's an amazing thriller. If you like thrillers, feel free to reach me if you have any questions. Patrick Aubert is on Facebook if you want to reach out and ask him anything about the movie. Hallelujah, Patrick. Hallelujah. Nice to see that you're working on the good stuff. Victoria, I worked 3 projects for the month of August. Wow, that's the most I've worked on any given month this year. Red Rooms, Erwin, Red Rooms. That's a hallelujah, Victoria. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. I have a student in, yes, Red Rooms. La Salle Rouge, Les Salles Rouge, because it's many rooms, right? Um, oh, I don't even know if you speak French. So yes, hallelujah, Victoria. I have a student in LA, and LA, and where are you, Victoria? Because LA is really slow, and Carissa McQueen, shout out to Carissa McQueen, is working pretty much nonstop these days. So I feel like that's a hallelujah for sure. She's probably on set right now. Stewie Lowry is one of my teacher's pets. I have teacher's pets. Sorry, it just happens. There's, is it subtitled? I think it's in English. I think it's in English. I don't think it's French. I think it was shot in Montreal, and Patrick is French, so I'm just being a little bit of a goofball. I think it's in English. Oh, Victoria's in Atlanta. Yes, Atlanta's busy. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you, Victoria. Oh, are you going to come to our meetup? I'm having a meetup in Atlanta on Sunday, September 29th. If you're not on my mailing list, you wouldn't know that. Victoria, I don't think you're one of my students, right? If you are, you're under a different name. But if you want to reach out to me, we're going to have people who are not my students are welcome. We're each paying our own bills and everything, but it's always super fun to be in a room full of script supervisors and comedy screenwriters. I have way more script supervisors in Atlanta than I do comedy screenwriters. Oh, you're a student of Dawn. I love Dawn. Many people are students of all of us. When I say all of us, I mean me, Dawn, and Randy Feldman. I know there's other script supervision teachers as well, but I love Dawn and I love Randy. So I had a really amazing conversation with Dawn. You signed up for the meetup. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. If Dawn's in town, we should get her there. I got to write to her. Yeah, I had like a 3-hour conversation with Dawn at the start of lockdown. It was the best because like we're so in alignment on everything, really, on everything to do with script supervision. We're so in alignment, so we couldn't stop talking to each other. Yeah, she's the coolest. So Stewie, anyway, Stewie is my teacher's pet in London. I have a few. I have also Max, who I'll talk about in a second too. But Stewie says a feature I worked on is out in the theaters in the US called The Wasp. That's all he wrote. So I don't know what it's about, but Stewie works on some big shows and movies in the UK, and he is my teacher's pet. Lauren Allen in Toronto. Lauren is more indie, so she trained with me so even Stewie trained with me after Lauren, but Stewie was already a script supervisor for something like 6 years. He's been around for at least 8 years, so he's deeper into his career than Lauren is. Lauren trained with me in Toronto in my last live class here, because ever since then I teach online, because I met Lauren in February of 2020, before the whole world changed. She says, the 2 features I've ever worked on are premiering this fall. Reveille en Néant in Sudbury. Oh yeah, Lauren is bilingual as well. She also works on French projects. It's premiering on September 15th in Sudbury at Cinefest. Hallelujah, Lauren. And her other one is called Welcome, and it's premiering at TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival, on October 12th. Congratulations, Lauren Allen. So my other teacher's pet in London, I have about 5 teacher's pets in London, but another one is Massimiliano. Massimiliano and Stewie both signed with a big new agency called Berlin Associates in London. Let's give them a hallelujah. So in North America, we don't really have agencies for script supervisors. We have unions. Margaret Thatcher took away the unions in the UK, so they have an organization called Bectu, but really they get their work through agencies. And Max and Stewie signed with Berlin. I want to sign with Berlin. I did have a conversation with Berlin. We'll see what happens, but I'm legal to work in Europe, not the UK. So we'll see what happens. A girl's got to try, right? I love working in Europe. For those who have never worked in Europe, my days in Italy were between 6 and 10 hours, and we made a beautiful movie. Between 6 and 10 hours for the same money I make in Toronto for 12 to 14 hours. So think about that. I've been I follow people's social media. I saw that Janie Karaya and Janie's in London and Zozo's in LA. Very, very new script supervisors, both working their butts off. They're both like, I don't know what the movies are. They're just posting set pictures. So a hallelujah. Oh, thank you, Erwin. Thank you. Red Rooms is French with English subtitles. Thank you for looking that up for me. They do shoot a lot of English language shows in Montreal, by the way. So it wouldn't be like unheard of that it could be an English language show, but it's French with English subtitles. Good. Thriller in French. That's got to be great. So hallelujah to Janie and Zozo for being on set, whatever you're on, because you're both so new and so young. I want to pinch your cheeks. Okay. You too, Josh. I want to pinch your cheeks. I'm just kidding. I'm just tormenting you because of my my earlier comment. Okay, Dora, let's give Dora in Budapest a hallelujah. She's one of my director whisperers who has been working her butt off. She started training with me a few years ago. She's probably also 8 years into her career. And she's working with a director that I worked with, a little director named David F. Sandberg. That's right. Shazam director is working with one of my, this is not the first time that a director that I've worked with is now working with one of my students. And it makes me so happy. And congratulations, Dora. I know that Budapest is so busy, but this is a big break. You know, it's a big break. There's a talk I do. It's in the bonus section of the course called How to Break Through to the Next Level of Your Career and Enjoy It. There are levels to careers. There are different breakthroughs we make at different times. And one of them is working with an A-list director like that on a big feature. That's a sort of a breakthrough for someone who's in like around the 8th year of their career. So hallelujah, Dora. Ada Stakura, another one of my pets, I have to say, in the UK, is she's just finished up on her first feature film, shot in Scotland, as the main unit script supervisor. Ada has been around as an assistant script supervisor, which is a thing in the UK and a few other places. On my YouTube channel, I have the International Assistant Script Supervisors Roundtable, and you'll meet Ada there. She's originally from Poland, moved to the UK to have a script supervision career, trained with me, I want to say 3 years ago, has been an assistant and covering for people on shows like Slow Horses. She was on The Avengers in Turkey. And I know this because Andrea and I were working with Don Cheadle in Toronto. I want to say it was 2022. Don flew over to Turkey to shoot the Avengers? And do not derail your stream. Great French film, Brotherhood of the Wolf. I highly recommend, says Erwin. Thank you, Erwin. Thank you. The French are so good at cinema, aren't they? They really are. Yeah. And so are the Italians. Well, we used to be. Italy used to have a good tradition, but Quebecois filmmakers, numero un. So Ada just finished up her first feature film as main unit script supervisor, and this hallelujah made me cry. She sent me a screenshot of a love letter from the editor. So we have this thing in the program where I encourage people to post love letters from the editor. The idea being that our notes are so useful to them that the editors are even going, who is the script supervisor? This is amazing. And Ada got just that. And she said, I just got this. I'm crying. This is my first feature as a full feature as main unit script supervisor. I would have read it out, but it's very personal. Like the editor got very much in gratitude for Ada's work and praised her to the director. And the director agreed that she's doing a stellar job. And to top it all off, she's got crewmates who are Oscar winners, and they're also complimenting her on a job well done. So, hallelujah, hallelujah, Ada, you're killing it, and I love you. You work so hard. You work so hard. We had a little hallelujah for those who were at the Toronto meetup and met Christina. Christina has been one of my students. She trained with me in the classroom in 2018. And Christina, one of my pets as well. She was like, it's been really hard trying to get script supervision work. So I've been taking scenic work, and I was going to try to help Christina get scenic work. And she suddenly got a movie to script supervise in Halifax. Hallelujah! So Christina's working up for a full month in Halifax as a script supervisor. For someone in Ontario, that is a hallelujah. We love working on the East Coast. I love working on the East Coast. I would have taken that job. Good for you, Christina. I think that's awesome. Danny in Toronto got a couple of properly paid short films in a row. If you guys know how much they abuse us on short films, because short films are non-union, they're not bound to any union agreement. To get paid full rate on a short film is a hallelujah. And Danny had 2 in a row. Hallelujah, Danny Gorney. And he's pretty much starting out too. So good for him. And Jessie is someone who just finished the program. She's never done script on set. She was a costume supervisor for 14 years, and she's in IATSE. She did the most amazing script breakdown exercise that I have ever seen, like ever. It actually made me cry. When my students rock, it makes me cry. So I had this like silly, the meme of like the guy's walking with his girlfriend and he's turning around because there's a hotter chick walking by. I made him Stewie, one of my pets in London. Sorry, Stewie, when you watch this replay, you're like, did I know I was Daniela's pet? I'm sure you knew. But it used to say, the guy looking back was me. And then the girlfriend is most script supervisors with pretty awesome notes. And then the hot girl was Stewie's notes, right? I had to replace that meme with Jessie. So the hot guy looking back, it says me and Stewie. We're looking back at Jessie, who killed it with her script breakdown. So I was so happy for her because I had never seen work like that before. Stewie's was the closest, but Stewie, like we said, has been around for 8 years. Jessie has never done script supervision. So I see a super bright future ahead for her. So proud of you, Jessie. Jessie is also one of the beautiful people in my Toronto meetup video. Go check it out just to see how beautiful the script supervisors in Toronto are. Erwin says, do you feel young screenwriters can get oversaturated with information and unintentionally? Yes. I've always felt that, but now with the internet, I totally feel you on that, Erwin. In fact, when I was coming up in Toronto, like before I was a screenwriter myself, one of my friends, Fab Filippo, who created an amazing show called, oh my God, I'm blanking out on his show. It's an incredible show about this South Asian trans woman. Anyway, Fab co-created that show. When we were young, he would say to me, I don't read other people's scripts because I don't want to get influenced by other people's idea, which I thought was insane. I think that's like the opposite of what I think is an equally or maybe a bigger problem. Just people getting so oversaturated that they become derivative. Erwin, I feel you on that. That's why, by the way, for when you watch my screenwriter training, it's all about being personal to your own life. Yeah, because then it can't possibly be delivered. I mean, it could be derivative on some level, but the core of it is from your own heart and from your own soul. I mean, and everyone borrows ideas from other films, but you don't want to like do a film that's already been made, a concept that's already been made, shots that have already been done. That gets boring, right? Okay. We're still on the hallelujahs. Julie in Montana. So sometimes this happens where people join the program and say, hey, I'm taking your program because I already have a job and I've never done the job, which, if you know what script supervisors do, is pretty insane. And I've had some students do that with 2 weeks. So Jorgos, who is one of my students in Athens, had 110 episode soap opera, and he was hired 2 weeks before. And he said, is it possible to finish your course in 2 weeks? I said, it's possible, but it's not pretty. And he did it anyway, and he rocked. So I was so happy for Jorgos. But Julie, and Julie was like 2 to 3 weeks away, so she is going to do it. I had, by the way, like randomly, I had a call from or an email from someone in Kentucky. People will randomly, Edison borrowed from Tesla. Nice. Yes, everyone borrows. But it's a question of like, how are you borrowing? Are you being derivative? Is it an homage? Is like a way of saying, I stole this in French, right? So Julie in Montana starting her first feature film by jumping into the program. We're all rooting for you, Julie. I think that's awesome. Montana has a growing film industry as well. I love Montana. I went to Missoula. One of my exes is from Missoula, and I loved it there. Julie's not in Missoula, but like Montana's got a rocking industry. Another hallelujah, Rosvita, who's one of our esteemed, another one of my pets in LA. Sorry, I'm calling out all my teachers' pets, but Rosvita is just like, if you've ever met Rosvita, she's just the best. She got a job in Seattle. She's working on a rom-com in Seattle this month. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a hallelujah, Rosvita. I wish I was working on a rom-com in Seattle. How cool is that? I already told you about Carissa, another one of my pets. Carissa. Okay. This is epic. Barbara Abelard. Barbara Abelard, who some of you may know as a famous, also a script supervision teacher, one of my very esteemed script supervisors in the program, very veteran. Sometimes veterans take my program. Barbara is a certified script E teacher. I don't ever use the script E word with a Y. I'm talking about the software. She's a teacher of script E. She got to work with a director I like to work with named Paul Feig. And she worked with Paul Feig on Jackpot, which was shot in Atlanta, I want to say last year. Jackpot last week was #1 on Amazon Prime US. It is now #1 on Amazon in the world. So, Barbara Abelard, hallelujah. Congratulations on having script supervised the #1. Everybody's excited. Oh, I love it. Go, Julie. Go, Rosvita. Yes, I can't wait to get to Atlanta and hear about everybody. Clarica was not, that was actually Barbara Abelard. Barbara, go Barbara. But anyway, maybe Clarica is someone else you know that you're going. Go, Clarica. Amazing. Okay. Tomorrow, for those on my mailing list, I still haven't mailed this out because we just confirmed the time. I'm interviewing a key grip extraordinaire named Rico Emerson. Rico is a Toronto key grip who's worked on Suicide Squad, Molly's Game, It. I think he did It too. He definitely did It, the first one, because we worked together on that. And a bazillion things since he started in the industry around the same time as me. Cannot wait to talk to him. It's going to be not a live Zoom like this, but I will post the edited version on my YouTube channel. Those in my class are invited to join us on the Zoom. I will post the link in our class group. I think I did already, but I'll also email people. And if you want to come and you're on my mailing list, but you're not in the class, you're invited too. But you can't heckle Rico. He's like, don't ever make Rico mad. Don't ever make any key grip mad. Yeah. So just yeah, look for that email. I'll send it to you guys tonight. And then on Saturday, I'm interviewing Oscar-nominated makeup artist Donald Moat. I'm so lucky. I know these people. These people are my buddies. Donald, I think, worked on Boondock Saints with me. He's worked on a bunch of stuff with me. Casino Jack, which a little known movie with Kevin Spacey and and Barry Pepper that we shot in Hamilton. And Donald's worked with me a bunch over the years, but he's currently shooting something in Mexico City, and I think we're doing our interview on Saturday at 6. Again, I'll post a link in the class group. It's been so fun to do this live with you guys. Should we do more of these? It's kind of nutty, and I can't get into like names and details, although I think I have a bit too much. I might have to edit them out. Okay, Atlanta meetup September 29th. And then I'm just waiting to hear if I'm working in Atlanta. If I'm not working in Atlanta, I will be back in the UK in London in December, early December. So there's that. Yeah, if you're, I want to just say one thing, because there's always like this myth about, I get these weird questions about my Director Whisper training program. They're like, when's the next one? It's always going. We don't stop at the Director Whisper training program. If you're ready to train as a script supervisor right now, you can join right now. Same with my script supervision, with my screenwriting programs. If you want to train in my TV program, you can join at any time. With my writing programs, the lives are not every single week. They're 5-week increments a bunch of times a week. So sometimes people just join, and our next session of lives is happening I want to say the 3rd week of September, so it's coming up. But with the script supervision program, email me if you are actually here. On the banner, I'll put my email address. I'm scared that Erwin's going to just write me random. It's okay. You can write me random questions, actually. But let me see. Banner. Yeah. No, not that one. Not that one. Sorry. bit.ly/ no. Wait, that's the course. I will put that though. bit.ly/script supervisor is where to read about my course. But the other thing is you can email me. How many people can you just email? heckle them on YouTube, and then email them, mondocinema@gmail.com. So either way, feel free to reach out. Erwin swears he's not a creeper. Okay, awesome, awesome. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your attention. We went over by 15 minutes. Usually these lives are 1 hour. They probably cut me off on Instagram after an hour because that's how Instagram works. Hopefully people hopped on here. It's going to be a big month. I'm trying to grow the YouTube channel. We're at 1,600 subscribers. Hallelujah to me. 1,600. Who knew I would ever get to that? I'm aiming for a lot more, obviously, but so we will go live for my screenwriting programs too. I'll make the announcements. If you are having fun, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Reach out if you have questions. Oh, Leila. Oh my God, I missed your comment there. Jackpot was insane, funny, dark, and sweet. Wasn't it wild? Listen, this is another true story. I was married to a Ninja Turtle, okay? And that Ninja Turtle was Michelangelo. True story. So that will mean something if you watch Jackpot, because at the premiere of Jackpot, so Paul had a premiere for his crew in Rome. Go, whatever your name is. Daniela. My name is Daniela with 1 L. Daniela Saioni. Thank you for asking. So yes, I was married to a Ninja Turtle. It's a true story. No wonder I went into comedy writing, right? But there's a whole bunch of jokes in Jackpot about Ninja Turtles and about Michelangelo specifically. Like I was having a little bit of a trauma attack in the cinema. It's like, Paul. And he's like, what? I'm like, trigger warning for anyone who is married to a Ninja Turtle. Anyway, that's a true story. And Jackpot was a wild ride, and Aquafina and John Cena were hilarious in it. I'm kind of glad I didn't work on it. It was like 100% stunts. Like that would have been a hard show. I get to work on all of Paul's easy movies, and Barbara steps in and does the hard stuff. Thanks, everyone. I will I'll leave this up. I may edit some things out, but other than that, see you on the next one, whenever that may be. See some of you in Atlanta. Bye. I don't know if it'll let me shut off